I had gotten into off-roading initially when I was probably around 8 years old. My father had a Honda 450 Foreman S. And then the passion had grown, as well as the machines, obviously, to a point where we're at today, where I own several machines, a lot of units to move the machines, a whole bunch of tools that are very specific to it. But yeah, that's where it actually started. The moment in history where I had taken a turning point from owning stock typed machines to building something absolutely wild was Mud Nationals 2018. We had just unloaded our stock machine, backed it out of the trailer. I think I had 32 Gorilla Silverbacks on it. I thought I was the biggest party ever. And coming down the road was a Polaris General on 50s and back then 6-inch portals. My jaw dropped, hit the ground, and I immediately needed to do exactly what he had done, get it up into the air. And so that was the turning point for me, and it's taken quite a long time to get there, understanding the right parts that fit, how to make things bulletproof. So my first builds, it actually is incorporating of how I got my name. And bought my very first Honda Foreman 500 S. Had no power steering, it was a manual shift, and for me, that was my lineage, that's where I grew up. I knew that would be a rock solid build, and they are. I was out on the trail with some of my good friends, and we were in this one mud hole, and we were working, and we were probably in there for about an hour. And this old fellow had come over, he had a Russian-style bucket helmet on. He had a little hula girl on his dash, and it was the first Outlander XMR I had ever seen. He had gone by me on my Honda in this hole in two-wheel drive, and on the back of his quad, it had said King, then space, then boss, and then space, and then quad. And I had turned to my friends at that time and I said, I don't care what it takes, I'm gonna go buy an Outlander XMR. And they said, great, you're now gonna be King Boss Quad. And so it started out as a joke, and that's where my name had come from. That was Saturday. On Monday, I went out and bought an Outlander XMR, and that's when I went to YouTube, typed it in, and we found our good friend Asta Cruiser, and I had realized that you could snorkel them higher, you could get bigger tires for them, you could clutch them. And so my first real build was an Outlander XMR. It was a 2016, I believe. And that was where I kind of dipped my toe into the aftermarket world and realized that I absolutely loved it. The first area about how my life has changed with this sport is the friends that you make. So you find people on the trail for the first time, you invite them out or they invite you out, and you literally become lifelong friends with these people. There's something to say about getting stuck in a mud hole, the camaraderie that goes together with that, everybody working towards the same goal and the same effort. A lot of people don't realize that the effort and the goal in the sport that we do and love is to get stuck, right? And so that's why we build these machines and put winches on it. So the camaraderie is one of the things, and just being open and very civil and having good friends for a lifelong time. So lessons that you learn along the way in designing and creating a build like this is always being 4x4. That's the #1 rule. When you build high power machines that are very large with custom axles and portal gear reductions, being able to split the power between the different front and rear tires does help maintain those axles. Never cheap out on functional components that could make or break your day. So, general maintenance is a big one. That goes really without saying. Always be on top of your oil changes, your air filters, absolutely your spark plugs. But moreover, the parts that are gonna break and not get you home, ball joints and tie rods. Make sure that you spare no expense on those. There are definitely premium players in the marketplace, and those are the ones that are gonna make and break you getting out of the trail, getting home safely, or being stuck in the woods and trying to carry a toolkit in there. And I've done it, and I've learned the hard way. Things that I have done that I've taken lessons from that I would never do again. Say, thinking that you can cheap out on paint after you spent all this money and time on fabrication, and thinking a rattle can will do. The other thing that I will say is, if you are not good at doing electronics, take it to a professional. I've been very fortunate enough to have no issues, but I have definitely had my headlight switch be my winch before, and nobody knows why. Take it to a trained professional. I think I try and do something a little bit different than everybody else. I'm certainly not one of those people that will get a sponsor and talk about how great their products are. I test them. I get them out in the field, I put them through the paces, I put them through hell and abuse, and if they last, then by all means, I will let my audience know that these are great parts. So I try and bring a lot of honesty and truth to my channel, and if you've ever spent any time looking at my stories, I certainly deliver that. And I try and let everybody know that, hey, although I've got these big lifted rigs and all the gear to get us there, you can come ride with me with a little Honda or a little Suzuki, and you're gonna have just as much, if not more fun. I have a lot to worry about when I ride this stuff, and so I try and convey that through my social media messaging. What's next with King Boss Quad? There's been a lot of contemplation of getting into the racing scene and doing something very different from everybody else. And I'm not going to give away all of the secrets, but it does involve having an X3 motor very spiced up into a quad chassis. And I'm going to leave it at that. There has been some prototypes that have been shot around. The fabrication on the frame is already underway. So that's what's happening on that front. We're trying to handle things on multiple fronts. We're getting the web store signed up and sorted. The brand that I'm trying to launch is very much around a riding brand. It's about being inclusive. Everybody to be part of the roading group. It's going to be King Boss Squad going forward. That's the whole new rebrand. We're going to go bigger this year. We're doubling down on the sport every single year with my team. We're going to get another trailer, we're going to get another truck, and we're going to get another Defender, and we're going to build that out. And we're going to do some cool stuff around sound. So we're going to try and compete with some of the Southern boys. We're going to go with as many wake towers that we can fit on it, as many batteries as we can jam in there, and we're going to try and win some sound competitions and really drive in that direction of the business. I think everybody's got their core riding crew. I certainly have one. I started with these people when I bought my first Honda, right through to some of the builds. They've traveled with me around the world to do this sport. My dad is actually my #1 supporter, somebody that works with me on all this stuff. He's in there washing the machines with me. I get a lot of father-son bonding time with me. He does a lot of driving. We go to all of these events. But I've got a really good riding crew. The average age in there, it ranges from about 22 right up to 60. So we've got everybody in there, all facets of life, and we've got one goal in one direction, and that is to get out in the wilderness and to have fun and to not litter and not disturb anything. I think as a kid growing up, and you guys have been around for a very long time, you got to be able to see a lot of the reviews of the newest ATVs coming in. And I think the very first episode that you had done was around your mud bike, and I particularly love the racing, because that's when you guys went from manufactured stuff to really my world of we're going to put aftermarket modifications on something and compete in a world that's unfamiliar to us and do quite well. And so that selfishly is really why I had fallen in love with your channel, is you really adjust it to what the audience does. And I think modern TV and modern production really misses that element of what do our viewers want? That's why I'm sitting here today. People want to see crazy stuff. And you guys have definitely moved your channel over to a totally different audience than what you historically had done.
Nick, thanks so much for bringing this thing out and showing us what it's capable of and what it can do. You certainly impressed me beyond anything I was expecting, and like I said earlier, I had to keep reminding myself how deep those mud holes are because this had such little trouble getting through them. But we really appreciate you bringing this thing out. It was really awesome. Thank
Honestly,
you.
My pleasure, and I hope to get more toys up here and show you guys how the Southern boys do it in a skag like this, because I think we could have a big party out there in the middle somewhere.
I think that's an awesome idea. If you guys have a cool build that you think we need to see, make sure you tag us at TRAX TV and we'll have a look. And hopefully in the near future, stay tuned, because maybe you'll bring your Sherpa up and let us try it out.
It's in the game, guys.